ACC friends. Okay, this is going to be the first video for the Exponentiation booklet or unit, which is number 7. So this one really amps it up a lot from the previous weeks. But remember, the format of this curriculum is so different, and it's probably very easy to feel stressed or overwhelmed in this one. But it's not like, where a lot of math, you learn one concept, then it builds, it builds, it builds, and then it just keeps getting harder and harder throughout the year. Because I could say being ahead, I did the equations one last week, and now I'm starting the one with lines that goes into 2D. And it just kind of think about it like this. We have to lay the groundwork first, and then we see what math applies to in every area. And when it takes it into the two-dimensional plane, the three-dimensional plane, there's a lot of different things that are happening in that are actually very basic concepts, like plotting points and how do we relate, like what's the slope of a line, and all these things that usually they don't get to learn till way later, but are very applicable to things that they generally would learn in early elementary school years. So this is the last, major thing that needs to be understood, because we learned addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Those are our 4 basic operations. And exponentiation is really one of those. It's multiplication. And and naturally whether it's in the numerator, denominator, division connects in, and they have to understand addition and subtraction to understand exponentiation as well, because some of the rules that involve exponents of numbers are addition and subtraction. So it's, this is, I would definitely recommend, as you're working through this now, if you did the lower levels, like the fractions, the naturals, if you're working with a younger child, I thought they did very, very well in how they depicted it. My 8-year-old had no issue whatsoever understanding, oh, well, I know how to multiply because it's skip counting. Oh, and I know I can do this because it's just 3 times 3 times 3. So she would do 3 times 3 first, and then she would, skip count that. Okay, that's 9. And then 9 times 3, skip count it again. And it's also an awesome opportunity with slightly younger kids, that if you as you're calculating the cubes, and I think there might have even been a fourth power in there in the fractions unit, as you're calculating those things, to write it out, like start practicing writing your work in a little notebook, because that's such a huge skill that's needed later on. Should they go into college and take higher level math classes, teachers are always going to want to see work. Mental math is an awesome thing. I teach a lot of kids that are amazing at doing mental math, but the problem is, if you can't take the mental math and put it on paper in any way, shape, or form, or you don't follow a process, it becomes very difficult for a teacher in higher levels of math to look at your process and make any sense of it. So if you get an answer wrong and the teacher has no idea where it came from, or starts assuming, there's a lot of technology nowadays, and we deal with a lot of academic honesty issues. So if I just have a stack of tests in front of me and one of the tests has all the right answers, but there's no work, a lot of times that student will get points off, because I don't know if they cheated their way to the answer or not, because there are so many ways that we can figure out how to do that nowadays in our modern technology. Even with some of these high-tech graphing calculators, we've had issues with smartwatches, things like that. So that you are setting them up for success by teaching them now to write out their work, because many students just truly do get really good at doing the mental math, and they can figure it out generally pretty well in their head. But in higher levels of math, mistakes are inevitable. You're going to make mistakes. We're human, and we try as hard as we can to perfect, but we already know we're human. So just take that moment with your student, even with complex. If maybe you feel that your 7th grader struggles with that longhand addition, writing it out, it's a perfect opportunity. Just take a more simple problem, multiply it out, now write the new problem, now multiply that one out, and so forth. So don't feel like, as you're looking at this the very first time, again, it's about seeing this stuff for the first time. And this particular unit, when I looked at it in the complex version, was so incredibly different than anything I've ever seen that would be on a seventh grade level. And I know that probably feels overwhelming, and the questions arise, well, why are we doing this with seventh graders then? And it's because, you're looking at this and they're not expected to understand everything. They're expected to see it, to start seeing these processes, how are logarithms connected to squares and to roots and to, like, this stuff is things that I wish someone had shown me years ago before I jumped into pre-calculus at 10th grade. Oh, he doesn't like it. um, these are some of those things that I wish. He doesn't like the exponents. So these are those things that I wish someone had explained to me, because it would have made so much better sense. So anyway, let's kind of treat this introductory video, that this first one is just how do we go in. See my goodness. How do we go into this week's math with a mindset that, this is very challenging, but don't let it become overwhelming. So I'm going to pause this video. This will be part one, so that way you don't have to hear this poor guy cry the whole time. And the part two, we're going to work through. There's a lot of different things in here, so there'll probably be a couple parts of this, but we're going to work through a couple of the pages. It might not even be the first video is 4 pages, etc., like I was doing. So the next video, look for it, will be part two, and that will be some of these just concepts that are being shared in this unit. So enjoy, don't get overwhelmed, don't get stressed, and know that your child is learning some awesome things that are going to really start to come together as they get into higher levels of math. So thanks for joining. We'll see you later.